Hi everybody, and welcome to the final installment of our 4-part organ series. As you'll recall, in the first video we kind of walked around to the different parts of the instrument that are the underlying mechanical functions of the instrument. The second video we took a look at the two enclosed divisions, the swell and the choir, which are situated on either side of the instrument. In the third video, we looked at the pedal pipes, which are also situated on the sides of the instrument, as well as the grate division, which is on the inside center right here. In those videos, we talked about a few of the issues that we are facing with the instrument. We're going to cover those a little bit more in depth today, as now we are sitting at the console. This is like the cockpit for the instrument. This is where everything is controlled. This is how I can command the instrument to do what it needs to do, or what I would like for it to do when I ask for it to do so. So now let's look at the parts of the console so we understand where everything is that we have to operate. So follow me. We have, as you see, 3 different manuals for which I play on. They each operate a different part of the instrument. This middle manual right here is our grate division. As you'll remember, that is the center division. Above that, we have our swell division keyboard. That will be the division off to the left if you are facing the organ. And the very bottom manual is the choir division. That one is off to the right if you are facing the instrument. And of course, below me are the pedals, which are operated with my feet and are on either side of the instrument as well. Up here and here, we have our stop tabs. This is how I command the organ to play different sounds whenever I press it down. They have their neutral position, and then you press it down, and it has its on position. The stops are divided into their 4 respective divisions. So we have our swell division, our choir division, the pedal division down below, and the grate division, of course, right here. And now I'm going to take you on a little tour of every division, and we'll explore the sounds that each division has, as well as some of the problems that are facing it as a review and as the way it looks from the console. So, come with me, let's take a closer look. So, let's first talk about the different types of sounds we have. On this organ, we have 4 primary different sounds. We have our principal sounds, our flute pipes, our string pipes, and then our reed pipes. Every division has a combination of these. Let's start with the principal sounds. This is the core of the instrument, and this is usually the foundation upon which we build our sound as we play. So on the grate manual, the principal sounds a little something like this. What makes the organ so fun is that not only are we able to play at this pitch level, but we have the principal in many different octaves, so we can take this one sound and expand it to be very high as we play. You do that by adding other stops. We have our principal that sounds at the 8-foot pitch, meaning it sounds at the pitch that I am playing. We have our principal that sounds at the 4-foot pitch level, which means it sounds an octave above what I'm playing. So same note, 2 different octaves. And then we have the 2-foot, which is an octave higher than the 4-foot, 2 octaves higher than the 8-foot. So by playing one note, I can play it in 3 different octaves. And so when you combine these, you can build this very lush and rich sound. 8-foot, adding 4-foot, adding the 2-foot. And these pitch levels happen with every type of pipe that we have. So I can do the same with our flute sounds. This is an 8-foot flute. We have it at 4 foot and 2 foot. So now you can start to understand how we can build this very majestic and glorious sound rather easily. So here is our principal chorus. To that, I'm going to add our flute chorus. And these pipes happen on every division. So in our choir division, we have our flute, our principal, and they can be combined for this, again, very large sound. Very charming. And same for the swell, and same for the pedals, of course. The third type of sound we have is our string sound. This is usually a very warm, very lush sound. This instrument, unfortunately, does not have a lot of strings built into it, but we are fortunate that we have a string on the 3 primary manuals. Oftentimes with strings is coupled a celeste pipe, meaning a paired rank of pipes that is intentionally tuned high. So in our swell division, we have our string, our viol, and then we have its partner rank, the celeste, which sounds like this on its own. It's a little thinner, but when you combine it all together, it gives it this very warm sound, almost as if you had a whole string section. The final sound that we have are the reed sounds. These are either used as a solo, or they are used when the organ has already built a fairly large sound and you need to add that extra punch to give it a little bit more depth and vibrancy to it. Our reeds on this organ are not that great. They are very buzzy and very bright and don't have that nice depth of sound that we might want them to have to really fill out a space like our sanctuary. So I use them only sparingly. So our reeds are primarily on the pedal and the swell division. We have 1 reed on the choir, and we don't actually have any reeds on the great division. Our swell division reeds, which are the same for the pedal, are a trumpet. This is a chorus trumpet, a trumpet I would use in the full ensemble to add a little bit more depth. Sounds a little something like this. And similar to our principal and our flute pipes, these have different pitch levels that they can be played at. So we have a 16-foot trumpet, which sounds an octave below the pitch level I play at. So here's the 8-foot. Then the 16-foot is the same sound, the same pipes, just an octave lower. Together. We have a 4-foot version of that as well, called the clarion. It is very shrill, it's really loud, and it's often not even in tune, but just so you can get a taste of it, here's what it sounds like. I try never to use it, I just think it sounds like garbage, to be quite honest. But here is the 16, 8, and 4-foot trumpet sounds. It's a nice big sound if I need a dramatic effect. The other reed we have on the swell division is the oboe. To me, this doesn't sound too much like an oboe. It sounds more like a bad string pipe that has been brightened up a little bit, but this is what we have. It's very soft, it's a very gentle instrument, a very gentle rank of pipes that we have, and can be quite lovely as a solo instrument. On the choir division, we have one single reed. It is our clarinet. It is not a clarinet at all. It is very much a crumhorn, which is an ancient double reed instrument from the Renaissance and even medieval periods. So it is also very, very bright and buzzy, but there is something to me that is quite charming about it used in the right context. You've heard me use this in a few preludes when I've done the Sally Gardens. That is that sound. I haven't talked much about our pedal division. It is experiencing quite a bit of trauma, I suppose you could say, due to its placement against the back walls of the organ, which are exterior walls that are not very well sealed. We have had to turn quite a number of piped ranks off entirely. But these are, in general, the lowest pipes that we have on the instrument. And some of them, at this point, more just create a vibration in the air that you feel really grounded when you hear it. It doesn't make as solid of a pitch on a recording, especially. I'm not sure if my microphone is picking that up at all. Certainly you heard the buzzing of some metal that was rattling. I don't know what that metal is or where it's coming from, but it's something in the organ or in the building. The pedal has everything you would expect to find on the other ranks. You have your principal pipes, your flute pipes, and some reed pipes. Now, part of what makes the organ so fun and so colorful is that we have mixtures and mutations. Let's start with what mutations are. We've gone over that when I play at the 8-foot pitch level, that note is coming out. When I play at the 4-foot pitch level, that note an octave higher is coming out, and so on with the 2-foot and 16 and 32, etc. Now, we have these mutations, which are, for example, the quint that we have on the Great Division that is marked quint, 2 2/3 feet. Now, what does that mean? It means it is somewhere between the 4-foot and the 2-foot pitch level. And the quint name of it will tell me exactly what that means. It means that it is a 5th above the 4-foot pitch level. So here is the 4-foot principal playing the same note, but with the quint stop, I get that 5th. When you pair them together, you have 2 distinct different notes playing. But watch what happens when I combine that with the principal chorus. Here is just the 8, 4, and 2-foot principal chorus. Very lovely, pure sound. When you add the quint, it just gives it a little bit of color, a little bit of brightness. Without, with. It's a subtle change, but it can make a big difference in the quality of sound, especially the further away you get from the instrument. We also have mixtures. Now, mixtures are when multiple pipes play at the same time from one stop. Let's break that down because that's kind of confusing. You have on the mixture stop tabs a Roman numeral, and that Roman numeral tells us how many pipes are playing when you press one key. So the great mixture is marked mixture Roman numeral 4. That means when I play one note, 4 distinct pipes are going to play. Let me do it lower so you can hear it. So what you're getting is the 5th and the octave 4 different times. That's what the mixture is. So when you add that mixture to the principal chorus, you expand the sound by 4 additional pipes. And they are mutations of pipes, so not only are you getting the pitch level that you're playing, but you're getting fifths and octaves all above it. So here is the principal chorus with without the mixture. And then the grandeur of adding that 4-rank mixture. Now it sounds like an organ. And we have these on every division of the instrument: choir, swell, grate, and pedal. So now let's talk about some of the issues that the console is facing. Now that we understand how I can control the different sounds of the organ and layer them, let's talk about why it's not working the way that it should be. So, come with me. Alrighty. So, our most problematic divisions right now are, it's like choosing your favorite child, except the opposite. They're all problematic, y'all. Let's just start at the top. Our swell division is extremely problematic. I can turn on we'll turn on our principal chorus. And you'll notice that there's just a lot of holes. For whatever reason, the console is not reliably sending signal down into that computer that we saw in the first video that's underneath the organ, which then sends it, of course, up to the pipes themselves. And so I just get these big holes. I'm going to play a little bit of a chromatic scale and just take note of how often the sound stops or changes. You'll notice there are quite a few holes, or just things where pipes aren't playing because I've pulled them, or because the console is not signaling to the computer that it should be playing right now. One of the things that I have to do every once in a while is toggle this little switch. So, for example, this C sharp, it almost never plays. I can press it as many times as I want. I can turn on as many pipes as I want. It never plays. So what I've had to do, this controls whether or not the swell division plays at all. It should. Oh my goodness. Well, that's a new problem, y'all. Once upon a time, this controlled whether or not the swell division would play. I don't know why it's not anymore. Anyway. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't work anymore, which makes sense because I'm recording a video. What I would do is I would have to toggle this switch back and forth a number of times until that C sharp would start playing. It does not appear that works anymore. So, that pitch may be forever out of the question at this point, and that's a shame. So that is probably our biggest issue with the swell division, is there are just a number of holes that we have to face. The grate division is largely reliable. It plays when I need it to play, with the exception of 2 notes, and they are this C and this F. Maybe you recall a few weeks ago in worship when I said that the organ had a malfunction. It was these 2 notes. I could not get them to stop playing without having to pull over 30 pipes. So, I called the organ repairman, they fixed it. However, it is already broken again. I can, again, turn on as many stops as I want, but that note is not going to play. The notes around it play, but that note is not going to play. That is a problem in the chest at this point. But if you remember, the grate manual is where I play most of the hymns, and so it becomes very challenging to play hymns when one of the primary notes we sing does not work. The choir is also doing okay. This division goes out of tune very, very fast, and some of the pipes don't receive adequate air. Example, the flute pipe usually has to ramp into its sound. You could kind of hear it need to blossom. As well as this principle, it sounds like the pipe is either bent or not sitting in the chest properly. it shouldn't be changing notes without changing the key. So that is an issue, of course, that we have to deal with. The mixture on the choir division is not one that I would want to use, but suddenly the other day it just stopped working. I can turn it on and off and on and off and on and off, and it just doesn't play anymore. I'm not sure why, but I would like to know why that happened, and my worry is that that will gradually happen to more of the instrument, that the mechanics will just start failing entirely. We've talked about the pedal division and how most of it is turned off, so this 32 foot, which would be the lowest pipes that we have, it does not work. The principal bass works only in select spots. The subas works in very few areas as well. Again, that 16-foot flute doesn't work very well. The 8-foot flute works only occasionally. The octave 8-foot is reliable. However, one of the issues we have with all of the principals on this instrument is that some of the pipes are very, very loud and some of them are very, very quiet. Other problems we're having have to do with these general pistons. They do not recall the combinations that they're supposed to recall. I should be able to press this button and receive a series of stops that I have set. And you'll notice that 6 doesn't even work. These are occasionally reliable, but more often than not, I have to alter something because it did not bring up the correct combination of pipes. This can be very frustrating whenever I am in the middle of a hymn, perhaps in a service, and it's between verses and I'm trying to change the registration for a different effect, and it does not pull up the correct series of stops. And so then I have to take extra time, frantically, to readjust all the stops. And it causes delays, it causes awkwardness, and it certainly causes unwanted sounds to play. Thanks for going on this journey with me, everyone. It's nice to be able to sit and learn about the instrument that we see, hear, and enjoy so often. So thank you for taking the time with these 4 videos to watch them, and for those of you who emailed me asking more questions, I sincerely appreciate your interest. The organ is facing a lot of issues. As you might remember, we have a lot of mechanical issues that are failing. We have electrical signals that are not being directed in the proper way. The console is extremely unreliable and is failing more and more often. The chest work is starting to deteriorate. We have had to turn entire chests and rings of pipes off because they were more of a threat than an addition to musical performance. And some pipework has been damaged. Some pipework is just not good. And parts of the instruments are very old and in need of renovation. We are, of course, fundraising to help renovate this instrument. So if you are interested in donating to that, we would be very, very grateful. It would go to a good cause. UBC has such an amazing history with their music ministry, and we want to continue that into the generations to come. And part of UBC's legacy is this historic instrument that we want to keep in tip-top working condition. Thank you again for your generosity in helping to preserve this instrument, and thank you also for the time that you have given to learn about the instrument. As always, please reach out to me. I am more than happy to talk by email or a phone call about the instrument, the work that it needs, and why it's important that we invest in the instrument. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend, and even a wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday season. Bye, everybody.